Again, welcome to Learning League episode 22. It is the one, the only L3 IRD, the bird, getting in some words. Again, guys, this is going to be an interesting topic. Yet again, we are going to be talking about the Phage or Blade topic. But first, of course, we're going to go through the also awesome introductions of, everything about the awesome Learning League crew, Defending Esports. Again, check them out, d-esports.com. But also check out the sponsors as well. You can check them out over in the bottom. XMG, Antic, Triton, BenQ, and Mad Cats. And actually, if you can go on the D-esports site right now, d-esports.com, there is a Mad Cats headset giveaway. So do check that out. And yeah, do check out all the awesomeness as well for the awesome CS coverage, the awesome League of Legends coverage, and also the SE2 coverage of Defending Esports. But other than that, it is almost the time to go. It is almost the end of Season 2, and it is almost the Season 2 Finals/Championships starting this Friday. I hope you guys are ready for the chance, but again, we'll be learning something from Learning League yet again that is kind of similar, sort of similar to the way of similarities that, we think about it, but we don't actually move upon it per se. If you kind of catch my drift, if you don't, then kind of check out what we have again with these graphs. Again, we've been talking about this before. We've talked about this before actually. Phage versus Dorian's Blade. Dorian's Blade, again, it seems like when that nerf actually hit Dorian's Blade, Studio talked about it in the TSM Invitationals, I think either the last one or the one before that. A lot of other commentators have been commentating about it. From we've talked about it. Robert X. Lee has talked about it from the professional side. Dorian's Blade's kind of weak right now, and it seems that the strat of M5 with Genja using the Kennen, craziness of triple Dorans into Phantom Dancer won't work out as much anymore, just because you see the stats on here. You have 10 attack damage, which is pretty good. 80 health seems like a little bit, but I don't think a lot of people are actually thinking about it, because that 80 health right now isn't really magnifying that it really helps the other 80 or helps the 80 carry kind of go on as much as more as to that mid game status. Like when we bought Dorian's Blades before, you bought Dorian's Blades because you wanted to get ahead in lane really fast. So you buy those double Dorians into that Vamp Scepter, and then you own lane just because you already had that tankiness, you already had that damage. On top of that, you have the decent amount of lifesteal. Lifesteal has always been 3%, but the health was at 100% and 100 health. So you had that extra 200 health to tank up probably 2 or 3 more shots of an 80 carry. It's just way too much. And now that Dorian's Blades are kind of dumbed down just because of the attack damage and also on the health, it really changes the game. Just because, yeah, you don't have as many shots that you're coming in with that you can take, and then you can't actually do much more with it. While other 80 carries now from the first buy are going BF Sword more over than Phage, because Phage is whatever, but BF Sword more over than getting the double Dorans into that Vampiric Scepter site, just because it's more damage and you're already building up to BT. While Dorian's Blades, okay, you delay your build about 950 gold, because that is the cost of 2 Dorian's Blades, and you don't really do anything with them because you can't upgrade them as all. So to the point, the Phage versus Dorian's Blade, I think the most important thing out of this whole episode, out of this whole time in Season 2, actually, ever since they did nerf Dorian's Blades are becoming really irrelevant, and we are seeing that kind of happen into play for really soon. Actually, even Dorian's Rings as well, since they did hit nerf as well. But going back to the topic of the episode, Phage versus Dorian's Blades, we do see the stats over here. You do have the cost of Phage being a pretty high amount, compared to the Dorian's Blades. Dorian's Blades, you have the 950 start, plus you have that Vampiric Scepter start. If you go the regular 2 Dorians with a Vampiric Scepter, you'll cost about as much as what you would just buying a Phage, and it is kind of slower, so you pay a little bit extra for that slow proc Phage, whatever it is, right? But again, we do see all the costs again. Vampiric Scepter on top of that, say you wanted to still want that lifesteal, because that is very important in that bottom lane matchup. You still get the lifesteal out if you do build up the Phage with the Vampiric Scepter, but with the 2 Dorians blades, I mean, it's a lot cheaper. You do pay 365 more gold just for a slow proc, which is, meh. I mean, it's great, and it's pretty good, but it doesn't really do too much per se, right? Supposedly. But yeah, again, one thing to reiterate, if you are going to go this way with Phage plus the Vamp Scepter, or if you're doing this with, say, Ezreal or Corki or something, and if you go straight Phage, you need to just stay on Phage. I mean, you can buy, I would say, Jurassic. He's a 2300 elo 80 carry player slash, he's just a solo key player. He buys like a Dorian's Blade in between in the mid game just to help out more damage come out through it. I mean, it's valid, you can do it, but I would say probably don't do it because you're gonna still skip and you're gonna hamper your build to that either BT Bloodthirster first, or if you're going to go Infinity Edge first. I mean, yeah, that's kind of the thing. If you're going to Phage Vamp Scepters, you're usually going BT. You don't usually go Infinity Edge. But yeah, so we're going to go back into a game really quickly of a kind of high elo game, probably an 1800, 1900 game. And I mean, it's really different to see when you're playing the game actually, and you have to think on the run. So, 2 things. I actually was going to talk about this in the second part of the episode, but I'll talk about it now. When do you go Phage, or when do you go Dorian's Blades? It's a really important fact to actually get into it. Dorian's Blades are used to kind of catch up in the lane or to kind of sustain in the lane, right? And it's early game lane advantage, because if you're using it for like mid game or so, you're kind of falling behind and you're probably already dead. But you use the Dorian's Blades to pretty much just minimize your losses and such. It's a kind of catch up kind of gimmick. Just like how people have talked about Bloodthirster first versus Infinity Edge, you use that to kind of catch up per se, right? Bloodthirster versus Infinity Edge, I mean, that's kind of the moniker that you get. Infinity Edge, you get more damage, you get more stats from it. Bloodthirster, you get a little bit of life sustain to just help you out, plus you still get that damage. Same thing goes with the Phage versus a Blade topic. You get Phage to kind of help out. Your damage, plus you can secure more early lane dominance with that slow proc. With Dorian's Blade, you can't do too much, but only get down pretty much on, well, more lifesteal, more auto attacks, and sometimes with more damage onto it. But you only get like a 2 auto attack damage topping. I mean, it's there, it's great, but I mean, I'm a really big proponent of actually having the Phage over Dorian's Blade almost every other time. We do see the Ezreal player, Fairy Dust, playing Ezreal. Ezreal has been like the flavor of the month of the year / of season 2, just because more people have dissected the AD carry / the bot lane matchup, and you know, having that extra attack speed debuff really hurts another attack damage carry. I mean, usually AD carries use auto attacks to kind of win out the game, unless you have like Graves or so. Graves does kind of consider himself like burst caster, Ezreal, same thing. But you know, if you have those ADCs where they have to rely on attack damage, and you can slow them down with Ezreal's W, which is Essence Flux, I mean, that just really hurts a trade, hurts any lane dominance that could happen. And if you do get that Essence Flux on top of somebody, you pretty much just secure the game for them, and it's really tough to see. While we do see Tristana just kind of getting up over there, and the FK Targ just die over there as well. I mean, it's really big to see that, you know, Fairy Dust / Ezreal is playing a really mobile champion, and with that kind of thinking, to go Phage first, you want to have someone that has either attack speed buff, which Ezreal does have, mobility, which Ezreal does have, or just in general, just that 2 little things right there. On top of that, you also need somebody that could go Bloodthirster first, because if you want to go get that Vamp Scepter first, you want to kind of build into that Bloodthirster just to secure that more early lane dominance. Again, he's just got 5 kills right there, and he's going to go back. I think he buys Phage and then Boots 2. Boots 2 usually for any AD carry, usually not going to be Ninja Tabi, not going to be Mercury Tread. It's always probably going to be those Berserker Greaves, because you need those attack speed buffs. Again, the more attacks you get in the AD carry lane, the more damage you can put out onto another AD carry. So in general, just try to think about that in a way that you want to think about your bottom lane as, oh, I have more damage by putting in 4 more shots in, or I have more damage by ducking in, putting in a trade, which I use 3 shots while the other person used like 1 or 2. In general, that's how you want to think about bot lane. You want to know how much you can get out in the trade without putting as much as risk. If you can do that successfully 1 or 2 times, you can literally just change the game easily and really successfully. So we do see Fairy Dust just kind of pushing up as much as you can. Again, with aggressive lane advantage, especially with Phage, what you want to do is actually not push up super far. You want to just keep it in the middle per se, so that you ganker or your jungler can come in and gank in the lane if you want to do that. But if you want to play it pretty progressively, just make sure that you do have somebody like a Blitzcrank or somebody like a Tarek stun down and then pretty much tank up the turret if ever. And right now, Fairy Dust is playing really well. I mean, he has the biggest lane advantage in the world. Tark's AFK right now as well, so Tristana can't do anything over that bot lane. And while, you know, Fairy Dust is just farming up, he can just kind of chill out and not pretty much do anything. So why aren't Doran's Blades tri-stacked as much anymore? I mean, yeah, the 160 health is pretty much the only stat that is a big difference. It was 100 health per Doran's Blade before, so you used to get 300 health from a tri-stack Doran's Blade. On top of that, you had the Phantom Dancer. That's the usual build for an EU kind of AD carry. Like, that was pretty aggressive, and that would secure you pretty much any dragon, secure you any Baron attempt as well. But it's a little bit nerfed, and when you have only about 270 or 240 health, I mean, it's a good buff. It's not a small buff for sure, but it's not a big help to you when you can still get a BF sword. Pretty much that's what you're giving up equivalents for. BF sword on top of that, more damage too, and you can't do anything with that when you have only about 240 more health for pretty much no any upgrades, no any other costs. Again, in League of Legends, you want to get ahead in any way possible, and getting ahead in any way possible means you have to think about your item builds just a little bit. Just like in StarCraft 2, just like in Warcraft 3 or so, you kind of want to plan out your path. Like, oh, if I go this, then I'll do this, or if I am falling behind in this, I'm going to be doing this. So just like what Fairy Dust is doing, I mean, other than he just owned up his lane so hard, he just wants to just keep it ahead. And when you get more ahead, technically you just keep on staying ahead, right? But with Fairy Dust, when it gets more ahead, you just want to keep up the pressure. And when you keep up the pressure in League of Legends, it kind of just changes the game pretty sourly. This is kind of reminding me of like Han or Dota too. Like, they just, if you have one lane that just stomps, they just keep on stomping, and it is very terror, definitely, dude. Why to switch from Phage, BF Sword, then Doran's Blade? I just talked about that. What are the differences between Doran's Blade and Phage? I mean, the biggest thing is Phage is that the slow proc is really strong, especially with somebody mobile, as we were talking about with Ezreal, or maybe with Corki as well. I mean, that's why you see it on Corki. You have that mobility just to jump in and actually burst down a caster, burst down anyone literally. And with Phage, you can just secure that even more while you're chasing somebody. Phage is really used to make sure that you can chase and get down onto people. When you can't do that, it's really tough, right? So that's why you see Doran's Blade getting picked up, but can be not really getting used for anything. But with Phage, you can actually do so much more with it. So very simple stuff. It's simple. It's really simple, but it's really good. And what does each one signify? I mean, again, Phage, early game, you want to just get in and just kill a lot of things, especially if it's a slow chase, especially with just more damage down, right? With Doran's Blade, you want to sustain as much as you can, farm up, and do as much damage as you can in lane. Before, when Doran's Blades was 100 health, you had enough tankiness to actually do a lot of burst casting. Now with Doran's Blades at like 80 health, I mean, you can still do it, but you are taking a lot more shots. Just with that 40 health difference, it helps. It really, really signifies a big difference in what you're going to be doing next. So yeah, in the early game, that's pretty much what it signifies. And in the late game, or in the mid game to late game, especially for Ezreal and Corki, who usually do build Phage first, they kind of get their item build pretty much ahead, just because it just locks right into each other. Literally, Trinity Force, which is a pretty good item, does tons of damage supposedly. It is a really, really strong item on Ezreal and Corki, just because they use a lot of abilities. They're 80 casters, but also they do get those Sheen procs, they do get those Phage procs as well. I mean, it's just a lot of good stuff that can come out from that Trinity Force, and having that already started up in the early go for Ezreal and Corki just worked out so much well for them. While Doran's Blades in the mid game literally just give you 6% lifesteal. I mean, the health is not really a factor, the damage is not really a factor for them either as well. So yeah, other than that, we are going to be talking about, Phage was pretty good on Ezreal, Phage was pretty good on Corki. Can Phage be pretty good on other carries as well? We're going to be checking out the unconventional picks in part 2 of the episode of a Learning League, episode 22, to Phage or to Blade, part 2. Again guys, it is L3 IRD, and we will be right back.
Red team's turret has been destroyed.